Climatic changes, we are all contributing, and there is a lot of discussion going on around the world, but not enough action. Because the temperature has gone up by 1.5 degrees already, which was supposed to be another 5-10 years from now. We are failing, and what we are doing is we are writing a very dismal future for our children and grandchildren. But every individual should realize that it is their lives, their children's lives, their grandchildren's lives. Unless you think about it on a daily basis, you will not participate in environmental change. And if the public decides that they are going to all participate and actually raise the concern also with the authorities when things go out of hand, I think that will be the turning point for this world.
Welcome to the section of Sustainability Karma. I'm your host Rajiv Tikku. Today we have a very special guest with us, Dr. Naresh Trehan. He does not need any introduction, but for some of our friends who may not know, he is the founder chairman of Medanta the Medicity. He's also ranked globally one of the topmost cardiologists. Welcome, Dr. Trehan, to the section of Sustainability Karma.
Thank you.
Medanta has been more recently again ranked in the world's best hospitals by Newsweek. What is it that differentiates you from other private sector hospitals in the country?
Newsweek International, which does a survey of hospitals in 28 countries yearly, declares which is the best hospital. We have ranked as the best private hospitals in India for 6 years in a row, which is quite an achievement in a way. But it does not surprise us from that point of view because of the fact that we have always stuck to the core of patient care, not business. So everything that we have done, that is threefold. Three things that constitute the best services that you can offer. The one is the physical facility was designed in a way that maximum patient safety, lowest infection rate, and highest success rate of procedures. So that all was designed from the very beginning. Second, we have the best technology. So frontier technology is always there. And the third most important thing is the integrity of the doctors and the staff. So all of them have to be, one, they are comparable to the best in the world. Second, they are giving up themselves by teaching others and building departments so that the talent keeps rising to the top rather than getting suppressed by them. And third is that their integrity includes two things, that they have the highest integrity. Nobody touches money in Medanta. It is all collected by the hospital, taxes paid, and deposited in their bank account, so that there's no situation where people are doing bad things. So these are good rules that we made, and we have stuck to the core. And the most important thing for the patient is that they should get the best possible treatment anywhere in the world. They should get it with compassion and doctor's attention. And the third is that we try to make it as affordable as possible. So these three things from the patient's point of view and three things from the hospital point of view have served us very well. And that's why I think we have been ranked in first the best hospital for 6 years in a row. But not only that, what is even more important is that we are the only private hospital from India which is ranked amongst the first 150 hospitals of the world. So it's a compliment in a way, it's an honor, and more importantly, it's a gratification to our people that they are doing a consistently good job over the years and serving the humanity to the best level at affordable cost.
The World Health Day theme this year is Healthy Beginnings, Hopeful Futures, focusing on ending preventable maternal and newborn deaths and also giving priority to women's health. So what are your thoughts on this?
It's after a long delay that the focus is inclusive now. So I think it has taken time for this to happen, but we are consistently trying to improve the level of care that is given from giving birth to a child to the oldest age, so that they know that their health security is at par with everybody. India has done a good job of actually promoting the safety of mother in the prenatal phase, during delivery, postnatal stage, and the health of the child. So this is all, the whole stream is being incorporated into the Ayushman scheme and others. It's a good thing that we are getting now accessible care for almost everybody in the country.
When it comes to SDGs, SDG 3 particularly on health and well-being, we've made lots of progress. Do we still fall short of 2030 target? So overall, what is it that could be done to advance good quality healthcare in the country?
See, if you look at the world, healthcare is a problem even in the richest countries and even in the poorest countries. India has made huge progress over the years. So this challenge at the size of our population, the economy, the availability of services and human capital. Because it's also that you need the doctors and the nurses and all that. So all this gap, there is a big effort to try to close that gap, because not only there are hospital beds being created, but enough medical colleges seats now to be created, enough nursing colleges to be created for training of nurses. And so we have two opportunities. One is to provide the best quality care to our people across all economic status, and also we can be the healthcare provider to the world, because Indian healthcare, it can produce the highest quality in the world at 1/10 the cost. So this is a great opportunity for us. There are two opportunities that are presented in this tree. One is that we can be sending our healthcare workers all over the world, which they are in demand. Indians are the preferred of all these governments because they are very sincere and working, especially when they go overseas. So they perform very well. Third thing is that inward travel or care in India, which we call medical value travel, that's also a great opportunity for India. And as we move forward, more and more confidence is actually coming into the world that India provides one of the highest healthcares at affordable costs.
More than 50% of deaths in India occur due to NCDs. And out of that, more than 50% are due to CVDs, cardiovascular diseases. So what would be your message for people?
So it's a very serious matter, by the way, because there is a pivot here. India had a very big, high burden of communicable diseases to begin with. A lot of that burden has been mitigated by different schemes, like the Swachh Bharat, Swasth Bharat, helped a lot. And cleaning up drinking water and all these things have helped. So we have reduced the burden of communicable diseases. But unfortunately, as is happening around the world, the non-communicable diseases, which include cardiovascular disease, diabetes, hypertension, and is on the rise. So much so with our population that even small numbers multiplied, small percentage becomes a large number. So it is true that this is a major concern to us, that NCDs, that we need to actually educate the public more than anything else. For NCDs, it's actually the public that actually makes it happen, not the doctors. We can only give advice, we can only monitor programs, so that we do early this is what Medanta is doing very sort of aggressively right now, is to go into the rural population, do checkups for them. We do it free as part of our community outreach program and CSR activity. But we see lakhs and lakhs of patients a year who we screen for diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiac disease, any dental eye. So these are the kind of things that will help to prevent this incidence of non-communicable diseases. See, as I said earlier, it is the quantum. If you look at even 5% of people of India's population is like the world's population. So you must understand that the burden is so huge, and combined effort will make a big difference. So every provider should take on the responsibility of certain areas, like we have done from Medanta in the TB-free program. So we adopted Haryana because we are based in Haryana, that we will assist effort by providing vans which have digital X-ray, which is very important in the diagnosis of TB, and also that we have the molecular tests to detect TB, so that we have screened lakhs and lakhs of people in that program also. So there are many, many areas of collaboration between providers where we can combine our effort to actually make a big difference on the ground. So that is what I would say is a very important activity we must multiply.
Mental health has become a big issue. So how do we really give it the gravity it deserves?
It's a very disturbing trend around the world. You can see there is mental stress everywhere. And part of it is related to the stress which is in our environment today. So it's become an overcrowded world. The pollution levels or climatic changes are happening, pollution levels are going sky high. People are getting more and more stressed for their job and their competitiveness. Hypertension has become rampant now. 26% or more people have high blood pressure. All these things contribute to mental health. Family structures are also getting dismantled because of mobility. Now you see children and all that are to travel in different parts of the country, even overseas, to get a job. Now the family is under stress. So there is multiple factors which are causing these things. There's a very interesting study on the heat waves. The complex heat waves produce very high to heart disease. That's from heart disease. So what I'm saying is the turmoil around us. So it is causing a lot of mental stress, and that's why mental health suffering. So I think that what we can do is basically systematically try to reduce the elements that are producing the stress on individuals, on the whole population. So And then mental health also improves. So by positive communication, by education, by providing jobs, by having environmentally secure air pollution, clean water, all these things will help to actually do mental health. And then there is counseling. We must have outlets for people to be able to seek help when they feel that they are actually breaking down. So I think that kind of, because there are many apps now where you can actually seek help, but there are still, you see, it's all the weaker section, it becomes difficult. So all hospitals should provide this kind of facility where people can access in case of mental health failing.
You refer to climate-related health conditions. How well is our medical fraternity to really handle those situations?
So first of all is the understanding. So we know that when the pollution levels go high, the respiratory diseases just start peaking and the children get affected. And environmental pollution, the neurological system of growing children also gets affected. So these are permanent things that actually damage the human body. So first of all, controlling the environment in your own city, in your surroundings, in your own country, one of the first priority we must do. Climatic changes, we are all contributing, and there is a lot of discussion going on around the world, but not enough action, because the temperature has gone up by 1.5 degrees already, which was supposed to be another 5-10 years from now. We are failing, and what we are doing is we are writing a very dismal future for our children and grandchildren. But every individual should realize that it is their lives, their children's lives, their grandchildren's lives. Unless you think about it on a daily basis, you will not participate in environmental change. And if the public decides that they are going to all participate and actually raise the concern also with the authorities when things go out of hand, I think that will be the turning point for this world. Today, there is a blame game going on. Not everybody has accepted the fact. So I think a lot of education, a lot of communication, a lot of examples have to be set for our population. At least India should try to clean up as much as we can. Some of the other countries who are polluting 10 times more than India may or may not totally on board. It's an international problem. But at least we should try to solve our own problem locally, because like you say, dust, what we call PM2, PM10, noxious gases, the crop burning and all that stuff. These are things that we can control. These are things that by conscious act of population we can control. And the time has run out, by the way. It's not like something in the future. We are suffering today, and we will continue. The incidence of asthma, lung diseases, neurological diseases, hypertension, cardiac diseases, all going up because of that. So I think that it's not only just a notion that pollution is bad, it is actually physically destroying people.
Healthcare sector is also carbon emission intensive. So how much sees it is the industry really to address the issues?
So, we have incrementally in the private sector is to go for green certification. So solar has helped us a lot because we are a 24-hour operation, and if the electricity fails or goes down, then generators are required, which is very polluting, but you have to sustain life. So the question basically is that with the solar and the stability of the electrical system, the consumption of diesel in Medanta has gone down to less than 10%. So you can imagine how much we can save, not contribute to the pollution, because of the fact that there is energy security. And solar based is very good, because we are actually sustaining a lot of our efforts to try to give solar a push.
What is your vision about India's healthcare sector going forward in the next decade or so? And what kind of policy changes would you like to see?
So you see, one thing is that there is one common rule which has to be for everyone who is in the healthcare sector, is that every Indian citizen who's standing on the ground of India must get decent healthcare. It's a fundamental right. The challenges that you are talking about are the following. One is that if the incidence of NCDs, non-communicable disease, keep going up, it's going to be a big burden on our society. So we must actually provide the services to control it. And like I said, one of the efforts that the private sector can make is to do mass surveillance of our population, early warning systems, and providing some treatment for them if they are actually going towards a serious part of that disease. Secondly, with sanitation, clean drinking water and all that, reduce the disease burden from communicable diseases. So if we can work on both together, I'm sure that India can actually look forward to a much healthier population. The third thing that you can do is that collectively in the healthcare provider space, to serve the public and try to avoid duplication. Because I'll give you an example, and that also there should be some rationalization of, say 10 CT and MRI machines on the same street. That is because commercially it's viable to do that. That's not what it should be. It should be that they should be spreading out. There are many ways of happening. The world has done it, but we still have a sort of a free run. And I think that the quality control has to be enforced very, very strictly on not only the providers, that's the hospitals, not only the medical schools, not only the nursing schools, not only the training facilities, so that the quality of doctors that are coming out of medical schools also is good. At least basically are of a quality that can provide relief to the society. Because ill-trained doctors can be dangerous. You're giving them the license to treat a patient, to operate on them, but if they are not fully trained, they are dangerous. So I think the quality also, along with everything else, is a very important factor to look into all the time.
What would be your message to people? 3 things they should do and 3 don'ts.
See, it's very simple. What are the factors that lead to good health? So 1, you need to be eating healthy. Now, eating healthy means that you are eating more greens, less of non-vegetarian stuff, and extremely low fried stuff. So 1, your diet has to be balanced so that you're not putting on weight. One of the things is that if you get into the state of that you eat till you can't eat anymore, is a very bad state to be in. So I would say eat to stop the hunger, but not to fill your stomach that you say, oh, I am satisfied. Food is for energy, not for satisfaction. So that is one. The second is that we are incrementally, with automation, we are becoming less and less active. So the less active you become, the more disease you will get of every variety. So that means you must exercise to compensate with lifestyle, because we go in the car everywhere. I mean, they just sit there, watch TV. And so the current lifestyle has to be managed, that you are active, you exercise. And yoga, in my view, is one of the best things you can do, because it not only physically keeps you agile, it also mentally keeps you stable. And that's the only discipline that will exercise your internal organs. So if you want to stay healthy, these 3 things will help, because like I said, de-stressing by yoga is the best thing you can do. Exercise you must, and the guidelines for it is that there are very simple charts available for what should be your ideal body weight. It is your height and age, and it gives you the formula, and you can try to stay within 10% of that ideal body weight, not more than 10% up and not more than 10% down, so that you will be as healthy as you can be if you maintain whatever I just said. Now, don'ts is tobacco, alcohol in excess. So if you do the following things, you have the best chance of living healthy, longest, and happy.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful talking to you and getting an overview as well as usable stuff for people.
It's all right, sir. Thank you.
Hope you like this program. This program is also live streamed on All India Radio. We look forward to your feedback on our WhatsApp number 9818120554. For participation in this program, write to us at sustainability.karma@gmail.com. Looking forward to meet you again at the same time next week with a new episode and a new guest. Till then, goodbye from all of us. Sustainability Karma, a podcast series on sustainable development, sustainability and ESG.